It is a Philly thing. This is Behind the News right here at Fox 29. I'm meteorologist Drew Anderson. So I got to ask you this. Did you get caught in one of those passing showers today? We still got them in a few spots, like in Delco right now. Let's take a look at the skies. Let's see what we got here in Philly. Let's see what's going on. This is Mike G over here, who's got the best plants. And let's see. Look at this. Blue skies over Old City right now, but it is still a little bit windy. So here's what's going on. That wind that's blowing the tree right there, that's going to be relaxing here after sunset. Sunset these days, 8:15. I love that. And those showers that some spots have, like Delco right now and coming into Salem County, that stuff wraps up in about an hour. They're starting to actually dry up a little bit. Now, if you're getting the shower, you're saying, what are you talking about? It's raining on me. Well, I was just looking at the radar, and the blotches of green are starting to get a little tinier, which means the rain is not here to stay. The sky is clear tonight, so it gets cool. We dip down into the 40s in the burbs, so just open up the windows a crack. You don't want to have them wide open, that's for sure. Tomorrow, we start out nice and sunny, and then in come the clouds for the afternoon. But don't worry, we got you a full day of sun for Memorial Day. So that's your check of the forecast. Temperatures go up over the next few days. Let's get up to date on the news of the day. For that, let's go behind the desk to go behind the news. Hey, what's going on, Kimberly?
Hi, Drew. Hi, everyone watching. How's everybody doing on this Memorial Day weekend?
Do you get any days off, or are you working just like me?
I'm working just like you, Drew. You know that. My weekends are during the week.
It's not a bad deal because, think about this. When we do have our days off during the week,
right,
everything's open. It's easy to go to the doctor. It's easy to go to the bank. It's not like on the weekend where you got to cram everything in first thing Saturday morning,
Absolutely. We got to take the positive with it. So like you said, you're in and out of stores, in and out of doctor's appointments. And yeah, so I kind of like it.
So I just love coming into your world here. We got this just kind of added, this building, first of all, is so dry to begin with. So we need a little bit of humidifier just to kind of be able to breathe a little bit better. But, on top of all that, kind of just chilling with you a little bit. We were talking about this earlier when we were talking the weather. Actually, I'm a weather guy, so kind of nerd out a little bit. And you were telling me our chopper would not be able to fly today because it's so windy.
Right. So in the event of any sort of major breaking news that we would have, we always have to take into consideration the weather when it comes to our helicopters. We know that recently we've had a few incidents involving helicopters. We had a very tragic incident with one of our competitors as well. And so we always have to take that into consideration when we're planning and we want chopper to go somewhere. Of course, they can get those great aerial views for us, but safety is always paramount when it comes to journalism. And even our boots on the ground, we have to be cognizant that sometimes our photojournalists will go into neighborhoods.
Well, sometimes you're just not welcome, right?
Right, you're not welcome.
If there's a story that's particularly negative, neighbors might look out for some other folks. Let's say something really negative kind of happened. Sometimes it's just you're just not welcome in a neighborhood. And that's what you're saying.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
All right, so what other things would affect chopper flying? What would say, all right, today's like not a day we're going to get it up in the air?
Wind, rain.
I didn't know rain.
Yeah, clouds, the visibility. So it can be...
So low clouds, essentially, when they're closer to the ground, because the chopper's flying blind, and it's of no use anyway.
Absolutely. And that is, again, where we kind of lean on your expertise as well, because I think, again, we chatted offline when I was looking at an incident that happened, and I was thinking about, calling and seeing if chopper could fly. But then again, giving consideration that at that time it was raining, the likelihood of them being able to go was very slim to none.
And super windy. But that wind's going to be coming down here in a couple hours. And then, by the way, once that wind comes down, that's it for the weekend.
That's it.
Eating outside, doing barbecues, your napkins aren't going to be flying around. So you're good to go Sunday, and more so Monday because it's a full day Sunday. See, tomorrow, it's a tease. We get it in the morning, but then when we're doing stuff, it's cloudy. You know what I mean? It's going to be cool underneath those clouds.
Absolutely. But you know what? I would be remiss if I didn't say, because as a veteran, I do want everyone to know we're able to join these cookouts and go to parties and go to the beach because of the veterans that sacrifice. So we would be able to do that. So as a second generation veteran, I just want to give a shout out to all of our veterans who are currently serving, even though this isn't Veterans Day. This is Memorial Day, where we remember those who pay the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, and this year in particular, we have a lot of parades going on. In fact, Monday, there's usually a lot of parades across our counties around 10 a.m. In fact, I'll tell you what, tonight on 10 o'clock news, I'll double check to make sure everyone that did them last year is doing it again this year. Pottstown always has a big one.
They do.
In Montco, to name a few. And I'll have that list, and it's a great way to commemorate and just honor our veterans.
Absolutely.
All right, so what's happening in the news today? What's going on? I'm a little out of the loop. I've been off for a couple days.
Right. What's not happening? So we have our reporter, Jen Lee. She's actually going to be following up on a quadruple shooting that happened yesterday at a house party in Chester. So Jen Lee and our photojournalist, Eitzen, they're covering that. It turned
And
out.
I heard, by the way, that there's actually a lot of interest in the community in this story. In fact, some folks I heard called in a little earlier and were asking for more information for us if we had more info. So, I mean, that's something I think is worth noting is when viewers call in and say, hey, what's going on with this? When there's that thirst for knowledge. So it makes sense that that's our top story tonight.
Absolutely, especially in areas where crime may not be as prevalent, or again, we often rely on our viewers to send us ring camera footage, or sometimes they're just in the area, like me the other day with the Pennsylvania UPenn helicopter. I just so happened to be in the area with my bow, and we saw the helicopter make that sudden descent, and so I had to be the boots on the ground for our station until Steve Keeley got there. So sometimes you just so happen to be at the right place at the wrong time or right time, depending on how you want to look at it. And so we often depend on our viewers for send us in footage. And so we're always appreciative for them for that.
Where's the best place for someone to get something to you? Give a phone call or just put it on the socials? What works best for you personally?
They can always tag us on our socials. So if you're not following us on social, we encourage you to do that. They can always call the news desk as well. All of our information is on fox29.com, the best way to get in contact with us. And we will, of course, give you credit. We have to verify that you actually shot the footage. So again, we don't get into any legal trouble.
Oh, yeah. There's a list over here. In fact, there's a list of questions over on Brian's desk. He is the head of our digital team. And so when they reach out for different things, this is the list of the rundown. So like you said, Kimberly, did you take this video or this picture?
Absolutely.
And then we asked if we can use it in all of our other stations that are in the Fox fold. And then this is the big one. Do we need anyone else's permission? You know, just another double check. Did you actually shoot it?
Right. And so we need to send that information to our photojournalist and also our reporter so that they know that, hey, you're clear to use it. And I think, as we talked about before, any of our O&O owned and operated Fox stations, they also have permission to use it as well.
All right, so we crossed the T's, dotted the I's. What else are we tracking this evening for our news that's after the game?
So LGP Qua, he was a rapper here in Philadelphia, and he was tragically murdered on Mother's Day. So his funeral was held earlier today, but also today, PPD sent us a photo.
So that's Philadelphia Police Department?
Philadelphia Police Department,
okay.
Yes. I apologize. So we're always, using acronyms. But
tell me about it. In weather, it's even worse. And it gets even worse. Not only are there a million acronyms in weather, but then there's multiple words that mean the same thing. Like there's 5 different names for a thunderstorm wind gust. And it's like, why do we need 5? Can we just call it, how about the wind that drops out of a thunderstorm? But
right, I gotcha. Yeah, no worries. And so police have announced that they've arrested 2 individuals, 2 19-year-olds, and they released the photo of a 3rd suspect that they're currently looking for in that tragic killing. Then also yesterday as well, just so happened to be working when a park ranger was on his kayak and he went missing. And so the search continues. I think authorities now are saying it's more of a recovery effort. And then, of course,
I can jump in on that. So Ellen Kalosia this morning was live on Good Day Philadelphia Weekend. So I was listening to her report. So she went over to that park, which is closed indefinitely, so closed for the weekend. A lot of people were coming down and just weren't understanding why the park was closed.
Right.
It's my understanding he went over some sort of falls or something like that. Because sometimes there's like those little small dams or things like that. And when the water goes down like that, it can really pull you down. It's not like the regular current. There's always such danger. In fact, like by the Fairmount Water Works, where folks do rowing, they have like these metal chains coming down to like stop people so you don't go over that sort of stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we don't know what happened. And, things happen. And this is an experienced person, right? You're not just, if you're a park ranger, this is something you're well experienced. And sometimes things can just happen.
Things happen.
And unfortunately, even though they were quick to get out there,
yeah,
things
happen. You can be an avid swimmer, and again, I'm sure that's probably one of the qualifications for the position, but it was just such a tragedy, and that was breaking news again yesterday. So a lot of unfortunate, tragic breaking news is what we're following today. You know, shootings throughout the state, and then also the release of the mugshot of this photo of this person, excuse me, that they're looking for in LG Pequod's death.
What are some of the stories that have been trending on our website? What's been some of the top stuff?
Yeah, so some of the top stuff has been, you know, these tragedies. It was another shooting last night. Several cars, several
Wow, so there's a lot
homes.
going on. Can I take a little peek over your shoulder?
In Southwest Philly. So this incident happened just before the quadruple shooting in Chester. This shooting happened in Southwest Philly. And so again, a shout out to all of our photojournalists. They work really, really hard. We send them information. We send them location where they need to go, and they're going in these areas where a crime or a homicide just happened.
That's
and
scary.
it can be, especially when it's so, you know, late at night and things are just uncertain. And so if ever they feel uncomfortable, they always can make that call that, hey, it's not safe. I'm going to come back.
Absolutely.
And we trust their judgment. We all have to work together here as a team.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, you know, sometimes you just don't know what you're going into.
Yeah.
All right, so this was right off the homepage. If we go to the homepage, I'm curious where that story is. I know weather's been a big story of the day. It's a holiday weekend.
Story. Yes.
There's been some rain.
Yeah. So again, if you just go right here to fox29.com, you'll see all of our trending stories. And again, this party in Chester that was a quadruple fatal. That is our top story right now.
So that's what Jennifer Lee is following.
That
for
is
our
what
news.
Jennifer Lee is following for us tonight.
All right, so I totally turned this around for product placement.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Myself.
Yes, of course. High quality H2O is in here.
Oh, nice. Nice and equal. I mean, we talked about that you got to have the humidifier because it gets dry.
Yeah, it gets dry, but then also I have, you know, essential oils going just to kind of keep the positive. So this is bergamot and lemon peel. Yes.
That sounds so good for this time of the year.
Is, and it smells wonderful. So just to kind of keep the positive vibes going. So, yeah.
Let's keep them going.
Absolutely.
And we'll see how the night unfolds. Kimberly, thank you so much for getting us up to date on what's happening on the news tonight. And we'll look forward to those stories coming up after the game.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Drew.
We'll be right back on Behind the News, and we'll check in with Dawn Timoney and see what's going on with Rescue Me. We'll be right back here in just a few.